Today's heading is seedless vascular plants. Seedless vascular plants. You can probably guess by the heading that they still reproduce by spores, but now they have tubes, vessels, and veins, which probably means they're going to be larger. By the way, with all of these plant stuff, we're starting with the simplest and working up to be more complex. So the simplest plants would be seedless, non-vascular plants. No tubes, no vessels, no veins, no seeds. And now we're slowly getting more and more complex. You have this written down, so don't worry about it. I just wanted to throw this in as a reminder. Vascular tissue is long tube-like cells that carry water, minerals, and nutrients to all the cells of the plant. So vascular means tubes. Don't write anything. Plants with vascular tissue can grow larger than plants without vascular tissue. Why? Because they can get all the nutrients and water to where they need to. So these plants, because they have vascular tissue, are going to be larger. I would write this down. All seedless vascular plants reproduce using spores, similar to moss. So all seedless vascular plants reproduce using spores instead of seeds. It's exactly what we talked about the other day. Spores are those little kind of mini balloon on a string like things that are going to float around on the air. They're going to fall down, and when they can fall in a place that they can grow, they will begin growing, usually somewhere wet. I would also like you to write this. If I'm going too fast, please pause it. During the warm, wet Paleozoic era, about 500 million years ago, ferns were everywhere and they were ginormous. 100 feet tall ferns. By the way, ferns are seedless vascular plants. So a long, long time ago, we had these giant ferns everywhere. And in a lot of places, the weather and climate was different than it is now. It was much rainier and wetter. Write this down. Today, they only grow up to about 30 feet tall. So the ferns we have today are nothing size-wise like the ones from millions of years ago. Some more examples, if you want to write maybe one or two of these down. Examples of seedless vascular plants: club moss, horsetails. Maybe you've seen these before, usually in kind of swampy areas, maybe next to a creek or something like that. Pioneers actually used them to scrub things. I'd probably write this one down for sure. Ferns. This is my example, my best example for seedless vascular plants. Largest group of seedless vascular plants. They have roots, stems, and leaves. I wish I had a fern to bring to class. My grandma always had a couple potted ferns in her living room. To me, it's like a grandma plant. I would write this down also. Coal that we use today for energy comes from ferns that died millions of years ago. So, like I said, about 500 million years ago, there were ferns everywhere, giant ferns. And basically what happened was those ferns died, fell down, piled up, got squished over a long period of time. It squished out most of the moisture in them, and what was left was coal. Coal is a chunk of kind of black burnable rock. but it is organic, which means it's plant or animal material. Okay, like for now, if I cut down a tree, okay, and I let it dry out, it would burn. Okay, well, imagine over millions of years having these ferns that fall down, okay, dry out, get squished, squish out all the moisture, and you have dried, burnable stuff. I probably will, on a test, ask you about coal and where it comes from. That is all.